guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanna. For those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. A great big shout out to my channel members for supporting my channel. Thank you. All right, so in this edition of Crack the Vault 2024, which is hosted by Poetspice, it is a collab that we do on a monthly basis every third Friday of the month, where we use stuff in our stash that's at least 6 months old, or just new stuff that has never been used. And it's really just a collab to use things in our arsenal, as well as the collection of things in our arsenal. Check out my description box for all of the lovely participants in this collab, and a special thank you to Poet for hosting it. So as I've been doing this year, I work in some kind of journal, and I have quite a few creative journals. And so for this month, I was absolutely inspired by Amy of Amy Plans Things here on YouTube. I'll link her channel below. And she does waterfall Dutch doors. Now, this is my supplemental, or what is now my supplemental reading journal. And I've done Dutch doors in the past. And I've got some examples here. And for me, a Dutch door is just a shortened page. So for this one, it's actually a fold out. It had originally not been planned that way, but I forgot some books. But what I generally do with Dutch doors is I shorten the middle pages so that I can concentrate the deco on the outside. And that's exactly how I've done a variety of different Dutch doors. So it's deco on the side and then some pages in the middle. And I like that. Really simple, really cool, very effective. So this stays functional. You still have the deco on either side, and it makes it interesting. Here's the most recent iteration of that, where again, deco on either side. And then I've got just some functional pages here in the middle. Now, for last month's Crack the Vault collab, I showed you guys this, where I was inspired by a video or videos I've seen on Instagram, where it's just collaging some journaling pieces. I did some layering, and a little window aspect right here. But with the Waterfall Dutch door, it is actually quite different, because you've got the deco on either side, and so it is capped off by essentially the same. And I actually did that after I did the Dutch door. I had started with this one, which is the furthest out, and it's got a little bit of edging here, so it's not just straight up and down. And then I've got deco so that it all kind of lays on each other in like a waterfall motion. At least that's how I'm assuming this is handled. I did 3. You could do more, just depending on what you've got placed and how many pages you have. This still actually has a lot of functional writing space, but you could actually go even smaller and smaller. And depending on what you're using it for, you may or may not need a lot of functional space. I binge watched quite a few of her videos, and there was, I think, 1 or 2 where this was very small, and she still did her deco, and then she put some sticker boxes that had lines on it so that it would still be a functional space, but it was really more of an homage to the decor, and the function just happened to work with it. And so it's something I liked to play with. As I mentioned in that last video, I do still have a little bit more pages in here to play with, and it really was an interesting concept. It was a lot harder than I had anticipated it to be. I definitely learned some things, and there's other things I'd like to try. So I'll probably do some sort of iteration of this for the rest of the year in here. And in fact, I think I'd like to do an entire journal of just various waterfall Dutch door spreads, because I love using my stuff. I don't actually use a lot of it in the current everyday carry that I have, and this color palette just sort of happened. I definitely learned some things, and so when I do this again in the future, I'm hoping it goes a little bit more smoothly. But you wouldn't know that I went into this without a plan, because it all looks very cohesive now, and that's just because I started out with these 3 tabs and then just kind of worked the color palette around it. And it does seem, when I'm looking at my stuff, that I definitely lean more towards this kind of color and aesthetic than I do other types of color and aesthetics. So it was actually easy to pull this off. For the next month that I do for September, I might actually try to do something either colorful or cutesy, because that's definitely not where I generally lean to, but I think it could be an interesting concept just to see how it goes. Now, because I am in the last part of this journal, it was actually kind of hard for some of these areas to do stamping. I did work around it, but it's just something to be mindful of. I know I can put something underneath here so that it's a more flatter space, but I forgot that when I was doing it. It took a little over an hour, so it certainly wasn't quick, but I love the overall effect of it. Now, when Amy does hers, she actually does it in the back so that she has mirror images so that this back part isn't blank like this is, but I didn't have either the patience or the ability to do that, so I just left it. I will have to be a little bit mindful about these edges, but because they're not actually right onto the edge of the page here, they should be fairly protective, except for normal wear and tear as I am turning the page. And then it looks like it's reading journal-ish because of the different stickers I used. That's just because they were at the top of the pile. It was never meant to be that, but they also fit the color scheme. And so what I did was I did a little bit of journaling about the process, and then looked up a quote regarding creativity, and that's how it is on every single page. So it still is functional, and yet it was never intended to be. So that I have some notes there is just interesting for me, but absolutely not necessary. And then the pen I used here was one of my fountain pens. The color of the text is all of the same because I use the same fountain pen. I was pleasantly surprised that fountain pens work quite well. This is a Maisie Lane Co. paper journal or dot grid journal. And the reason why I used this one, it was the first one that I tested that actually worked. The other two I tried, the ink wouldn't flow. So that is my submission for this month for Crack the Vault. I'd love to know what you guys think. And if you've ever tried this Waterfall Dutch door action, I'm definitely going to be doing this again. A special thanks to Poet and a special thanks to Amy. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me for now. And as always, aloha.